Welcome to OmEn Online.
I'm Adam. This is Johnny. Of course, we got Chuck returning.
And this is Dennis.
I'm Dennis.
Our guest for the day, Dennis. Really good guy, I talked to him a lot online. Got a lot of good information. So hopefully it'll be a great show. Stay tuned.
Because this is going to be kind of like a meeting.
Okay, now we got Dennis here, we got John, we got myself, we got Chuck, and believe it or not, at least 3 out of 4 of us have been actors at haunted houses. Have you, Chuck?
One time.
Okay, all 4 of us have been actors at haunted houses. Me and Johnny got our start at Industrial Nightmare. Industrial Terrorplex.
Well, not only that, to be fair, I did originally get my start in real haunted houses at Waverly back in the day when it originally, like probably its 4th or 5th year open.
Right, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, the place is
And then
great.
I took time off. But I also used to do a home haunt with my friend Bland. Well, our friend Bland.
Right.
We used to do a home haunt at his sister's. We'd turn their porch into a little haunted house for the kids.
Right. And you got your start at Haunted Hotel?
Haunted Hotel.
Awesome
Last year
place.
was 2 years ago. This year will be my 3rd season.
Awesome.
I've been haunt acting, I think, about a year longer than you.
Right, yeah.
Like actual, like full-on haunt acting, about a year longer than you.
I actually had no idea the adrenaline rush
Right.
that you would get from listening to a person scream.
And knowing that you made it happen.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's so you get a high from it that you just can't explain. Those endorphins and shit kick in. Oh my god.
Definitely. It was definitely an experience. I loved every minute of it.
And for all you at home that think it's a joke and being a haunted house actor is easy, you have no clue how hard it is to do that job and stay that intense for as long as you have to.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very rough on you mentally and physically.
Yep. It will put you in a bind.
I have seen people quit within the first hour of working, like a brand new person that's never done it before. I have seen them quit, or I have seen them fall in love with it and grow exponentially in whatever they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
You're fired.
Alright, but no, haunted housework, man. It's either something you love doing or you just are not into it.
See, and it's great because you actually worked in what's considered one of the most haunted places in America.
Well, I still do. You know, Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
That is badass. I've been there.
Yeah, definitely beautiful building.
I wish you could have checked it out last year and come see Pope Judas. That was my character that I created. His entire costuming I made myself. I love making my own props and using my own things, so if something happens to it, I don't feel bad for breaking the haunt stuff.
Right.
I have worked entire nights in 50 pounds of chainmail.
Right.
Now, I gotta ask though, have you ever, being at Waverly, have you ever actually seen any real ghosts or had any experiences that really just stand out?
I used to play there when I was a kid, so it doesn't really bug me.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, like, I was telling people all last year, there were, in my area, I was pretty much alone, even though I wasn't. Everyone else was a bit away from me, and I had to move around to get to them. One was kind of near me, but I was pretty much by myself all night. You know, I'm sitting here listening to voices calling my name, like my actual name. And everyone around me doesn't call me by my actual name because I told them I'm trying to stay in character, you know. And so call me Pope when you want something, or priest, something like that. So they would all call me either Pope or priest. You know what I'm saying? So I know that wasn't anyone saying my actual name, because even the team leads and the director and the owner, I told them, don't call me by my name when I'm in there. You call me Pope or Priest. And, yeah, so, and not only that, there were nights I was in there and the pews with the dummies that look kind of ghostly. Every now and then I'd kind of see them morph a little bit or move a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I've seen things there plenty of times. I've heard things, but it doesn't bug me.
Yeah,
I'm not scared.
I've seen stuff like that since I was a kid. I got a cool story about white horses back in the 80s. Me and my friends in high school. Snow about this deep, and we showed up probably about 11 o'clock. We're going up the driveway, and we stopped, and we turned around, and we decided to walk back. Well, once we did, we started seeing all these headlights coming at us. All my friends freaking scattered into the woods. Here I am by myself because I was the dumb and not run. Three cop cars, one canine. Like this, what are y'all doing? They let us go, but that was the last time we ever tried to sneak into. That was back in the 80s.
Right.
That was actually a lot easier to get in there because that's back when I got in there when I was a little kid.
Yep.
But have you seen any?
Yes. If I told you one, you probably think I was crazy.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
Okay.
We're all.
That very night, the reason why we decided to turn around is because I seen a couple of them come across through the woods onto the ground.
Oh wow!
Just stopped on the street.
So you didn't even make it to the building or seeing stuff.
Oh, you got lucky, man. That don't happen that often. You
And
don't really
I
normally
honestly
see too
think
much
that
outside.
they were stopping us because if we would have went any further, those police would have caught us inside and we would have went to jail instead of going out.
Yep.
They know what I'm saying? And that was
Right.
pretty cool, man. It was-
Right.
That's
That's awesome.
that's a whole nother episode, but I can go on and on, man. Believe you
I went
me.
up there once before it was a haunted house. And I got so far as looking through one of the windows. And if you've ever seen Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the hallway with the lights swinging back and forth, it's exactly what it looked like.
Oh wow!
The first time I went was Easter Sunday.
Which is coming up.
Many years ago. And it was lightning and thundering over Louisville. And when we got to the third floor, it started getting dark and the storm was coming across. And boom, it would light up the hallways. Ah, that was awesome.
I remember when my buddy invited me up there to for a free walkthrough of the haunted house. I went up there, and with that, we got a free VIP tour as well, mini tour. And they took us up to all the floors, but I don't know why, but when I got up to the 5th floor, I couldn't go any further. I had to go back down to the 4th floor because something just wouldn't let me go
Oh,
up
wow.
there. Like, I just felt like I didn't need to be there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't need to be there right now because I've been on the 5th floor before, no problem. But something said, no, you don't need to come up here. And it might have been because down in the solarium area, which is the, I want to say 2nd or 3rd floor. I'm thinking it's the 2nd, I can't remember. It's the one with all the open window area rooms and stuff. It's called the solarium. It was so they get a lot of sunlight in and stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
But
about.
there was this one room to the right. I kept looking in there. I kept seeing this shape of a face, and it looked like eyes just looking at me. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I just kept looking at it like, doing that. All of a sudden, one of the other guys that was in the group walks in and was like, you see a face in there, don't you? I was like, yes, I do. I didn't want to say nothing unless somebody else
Dude,
confirmed.
that would be awesome to work in a haunted house.
Well, I work in a haunted house, but I work in a real haunted house.
Right.
One of the most haunted places in the world.
63,000 people died. Give or take.
And they got
Probably
tunnels
don't
in
know.
that.
Have you ever seen
That
the
thing's
Death
supposed to
Chute?
go
You mean Death Tunnel?
all the way,
Yeah.
all the way to E-Town.
I've seen Death Tunnel. I actually know the guys who filmed that. The Cohen, I think it's Booth Brothers or something like that. Because my ex-wife, her nephew is in one of their movies, and he's a big fan of that. Every time they bring out a new movie, they send him a copy, and every year for Christmas they send him different hot sauces from around the world.
Have you met I forgot her name, but she's a short brunette. She was in the film.
Oh, I don't remember who she was. I'd have to watch it again
Well,
to see her.
she works. She used to work one of the canisters over at the 7th Street Flea Market. She lived here for about 3 weeks. No, for about a month when I first moved in here.
Cool.
She
I used
stayed
to have a
over there.
wrestler living next door to me at the apartments. He's actually was a big time wrestler here in OVW.
Right.
Like he was a main act, and him and his one. I think what they call themselves. I cannot remember. It was him, someone else, and her, and they were some little group. I can't remember what they were called though. But I lived next to them for about a year or so. He was pretty cool.
I remember you telling me about him.
Do you all remember Rock and Roll RPMs and Rock and Roll Express?
Yeah.
They came to Louisville, Kentucky to my high school, and we helped set the Mac Arena. So we were able to stay on this thing free. Bunch of them. Dustin
Hey.
Mantel, Double
I
J
used to
before it became
Do you
Double
remember
J.
USWA? My mom and them used to take us down there on Tuesday nights to watch that when they had it at Louisville Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I've been
I
there a
remember the
few times.
first
It
time
was
I
fun.
met Jerry Lawler. I met him again this year at SuperCon too.
Awesome.
I told him I was sorry about the loss of his son. Brian Christopher, I always kind of liked him except for when he was doing that heel stick. I didn't like that, but because he always did that annoying ass laughing stuff.
Right.
But
But that was
All in
part of
all-
his character.
exactly, I didn't dislike the dude then. I just didn't like the character that he was
Do you
portraying at the
remember when
time.
Jerry Lawler played a bad guy here on Wave 3?
Put that behind you on you.
You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired!
No, I don't know.
I know what you're
Let's-
talking about.
One second. Now we're going to go in another direction. I know that you are a flat Earth. Flat Earth
I'm
believer.
just whatever, dude. I don't really care anymore.
Right.
Until there's 100%. But I love the evidence.
Okay, I love that too. I love information in every form that it comes in. I'm not necessarily a flat Earth person, but as I've told you before, I can't fly into space and take a picture and prove that
Right.
this is. So I'm cool with it.
I've asked 2 airplane pilots
Mhm.
if they've seen flight around. You know what they said? Round. I don't know if I believe them or not. I don't know because evidence that I've seen from videos and pictures to what NASA gives us.
Now,
Just,
I think that's a big thing in where this is coming from, all right? Because a lot of the NASA photography and evidence and things like that, some of it has been proven to be edited and
there is a guy that
misinformation.
edited all the photos, shot all the Earth photos.
Well, if you take 2 different pictures that NASA took from the moon of Earth, they changed the proportion of the continents on the planet. So that does create a shadow of doubt. So there is a reason that people doubt the round Earth thing, the globe. Again, I personally think there's enough to say it is a globe, but there's enough controversy. Like, okay, our missions to the moon.
Right.
Okay, our missions to the moon.
I don't think the first one went.
I
I
Can't-
think they did, but I think they found. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your
I
statement.
can't say either way for a couple reasons. One, when you look at pictures of the moon that these other countries have taken with their robots and landers, the moon is brown, not gray. Like our old video shows it being gray. Okay, that's one challenge. All right, give you another challenge. We supposedly rushed the technology. We went from horse and buggy to the moon in 100 years. 100 years exact. We were horse and
that is a
buggy.
leap.
We were
That's
on the
why I kind of think the first
the
technology quite wasn't there yet. So
maybe it was the second or the third one where we actually made it, and maybe they were doing that to try to win the space race because Russia beat us. The USSR beat us to put the first satellite in space, the first man in space. I think they
First
beat us to
monkey
the
or
first
dog.
monkey or dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put a monkey first.
So we had to
and they didn't make it back.
show we were on that level.
Right.
So maybe, and I don't know. So I ain't saying my opinions either direction. Maybe the first one didn't make it. It was a ploy. Maybe the second and third one did. Maybe. Don't know. I have no way to say it either way.
I wasn't there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, here's the thing. In the 80s, right after the moon landing, we had a plan, a workable plan, to get the next mission to go to Mars. And at that time, completely abandoned in space. Other than low Earth orbit, what they call it.
Have you heard now that the moon is inside Earth's orbit?
It's inside, there's levels of the atmosphere, okay?
Right.
There's certain levels, and it's on one of the outermost levels of our atmosphere, so it does.
Right.
Interact.
It balances in and out.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It's caught within our gravity, basically.
But they also say there's a radiation belt out there that we're not able to get through.
Now, you know what I think is crazy? You go
Sorry, man, I
to.
got something stuck in my throat.
Oh, you're good. When you go to like a lot of these ancient cultures, all right, the easiest one to go to, the Sumerians.
That's the first
They
recorded.
depicted.
Or that we still have that was recorded.
Very good. They depicted a full model of our solar system with every planet there.
Mm-hmm.
That alone says there's stuff we don't know.
Either they've been somewhere,
Someone
and had
talked.
some kind of
They
technology
talked-
we didn't have, or
They
talked
talk
with aliens.
about the gods walking with them constantly. All right. Many different civilizations and cultures throughout the world in ancient times spoke of the same thing. They taught the Sumerians everything that we know today. Everything. Money, the wars, the will, math,
Warfare.
everything.
It's
So
just
we
been
know that-
improved upon as time goes on.
Right. Kingship was handed down in Kush, I believe it was. And if you go to the king's list, whether it's Egyptian, Sumerian, or anything,
Right.
they had the years and years and years where the gods were the rulers, and that we
Not
say
just
gods.
10, 20 years. I'm talking 30,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
it's-
in Egypt alone, each ruler ruled in multiples of 3,600 years.
Right.
You go to Jewish Kabbalah, to get to the house of God takes 3,600 years. You know what I'm saying? And these numbers all tie together. So, am I saying what exactly this is? Got no clue. But I know there's
Well,
a
they
lot
speak
of
of,
coincidence.
they call their gods Anunnaki.
Mm-hmm.
We were created by them. Human beings have actually been on this planet for over 240, 290,000 years. If you go by the Sumerian writings.
Yeah, but I feel like they've been around longer than that. I think that, then this is just a theory that I have, is that they kind of, like, what happens is civilization builds up, and then eventually destroys itself, and everyone basically kind of has to start all over again. And over the time, a lot of the knowledge is lost, and as you go, you relearn some of the knowledge. There was a guy, I can't remember who it was, who had said something about, you know, the same lines, and he's like, it was kind of, sorry, 1 second, I'm trying to get back on my train there. He was saying that he thinks that could have happened, and he basically kind of said that that we lost the knowledge and then we picked some of it up. Now, the thing is, if you were to burn all the books and things and the math and all that,
happened
and nobody had it, well,
Alexandria's
eventually, as
library?
civilization goes, they'll just rediscover it, and they're like, all the books and things will change, but the math will, the science will always be the same.
Right. That's what I was actually telling you all about earlier when I was listening to this guy, Randall Carlson, talk about sacred geometry. And the more I'm listening to him, he's talking about how all the mathematics and the geometry and all of it is based around, one, the measure of man. Everything, the inch is the average of your knuckle to the tip of your thumb.
Cool.
The average, you take every person, you average it out, that distance, 1 inch. All right? Your foot is an average of a man's foot size. You know what I'm saying? Your measurements are all based off of a human being, okay? And at first I got to think, well, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? The people used what they had available to take measurement. Makes perfect sense. Then he gets to talking about how, all right, like the Parthenon, all right, on the line of latitude that it's at, all right, its measurement is exactly 1 degree, of the circle of that latitude of the planet. On a globe Earth, that latitude, a circle is so big, the Parthenon on that latitude is exactly 1 degree of that 360-degree circle. All right? You go to the pyramids, and the pyramids, and there's a way to do it. I don't remember all the numbers, so I don't want to go too far into it. Is exactly the radius of the Earth, the height.
Yes, I've seen something about that before, and I went and researched it. Yeah, and we exactly the pyramid.
And it's built true north.
And my whole thinking about this, all right, what is the common language that everybody in the world knows?
Numbers, math.
Math and numbers, all right? So let's just say there is an ancient civilization who was highly advanced, who was destroyed by some catastrophe, you know what I'm saying? Solar flare, asteroid, nuclear war, whatever.
Atlantis.
How do you pass on that information and know that it's going to be passed on without being a game of telephone and get changed along the way? Because I believe that all myth is based in fact. It's just the game of telephone changes.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. How do you pass on that information to everyone in every language without it being changed?
Math. And
Math.
I'm not good at math. I can add, but you lost me already.
All right.
Well, I know what you mean. No, I'm just
Set it in stone.
If we set it in stone, these measurements
Right.
that show the measurement of the Earth, the measurement of the sun. He went into detail about the speed the Earth moves around the sun is 66,600 miles an hour or something along that line. And all
I
these
posted
numbers,
something like that before about that. Remember?
and all these measurements are set in our mathematic system. So you know what? Our stone tablets get erased, or if we had computer memory back then, it's been destroyed, it's been erased. But guess what? Our numbers and our mathematics get passed on from generation to generation, and we keep that information. I think that is the biggest proof that we have anywhere that there was a civilization previous to our current advanced civilization. I don't think it can
There's
be
just too
disputed.
much evidence, man,
Mhm.
that points to the fact that there was.
Right. I think you're exactly right. I think there's too much evidence, but I think
If you want to go all ancient aliens and shit,
Mhm.
There you go. There's
Well,
too
Chuck,
much.
do it.
Here's
Aliens, man.
Aliens, man.
here's my thing. I ain't gonna say it's aliens. Maybe it was an early hominid. Maybe.
Where? How? My bad.
Well, okay. I get your. I
And I'll
see.
tell you what.
We have found and are continuing to find new species of hominids
Oh
continuously.
yes.
Okay, let's go Neanderthals. Neanderthals, if I remember right, their brain capacity was bigger than ours.
Well, if you go
We
by
found-
Sumerian writings, what they done
Mm-hmm.
was take Anunnaki DNA, crossed it with exactly what we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a big word. I'll have a hard time saying it.
Uh-huh.
And here we are. Now, here's my thing. This is all written down on like thousands upon thousands of clay tablets, and I can take it deeper and deeper and deeper, but that's a whole nother episode.
Nah, that's what we're doing here.
But back then, they were hunter-gatherers, 12,000 years ago, if not, when they were written,
Mhm.
they were hunter-gatherers. If you go by mainstream archaeologists and mainstream scientists,
Mm-hmm.
they were not capable of doing what they done at that period.
Mm-hmm.
And they wrote all this shit down in great detail, mixing DNAs of different species. Who taught them this? Where did they get the imagination if it's a myth?
How did they even know crossbreeding DNA, crossing DNA? How
Exactly.
did there has to be
either
some?
Now,
Someone
on that
taught
level is either their ancestors taught them and then the knowledge was lost and destroyed or
If
something,
you go by,
or somebody else came and taught them.
Well,
that's what it was. Anunnaki came and they wrote this down.
we have these skulls now. All right. One group of them we call them the Caracas skulls. They're elongated skulls. Now we know certain cultures
Do binding.
do binding. All right, but there are some skulls that show
No binding done.
no binding. All right, but here's the thing: you have a seam in your skull called the sagittal suture.
Exactly.
Any skull that was bound still shows
Still
sagittal
shows.
suture. There is no human that doesn't have the sagittal
Yeah.
There
suture.
are skulls. In
That's where our
different
soft
museums
spot
throughout
started.
the world.
Now, we have found skulls that don't have the sagittal suture, are naturally looking formed and are elongated, all right, and their genetic ancestry does not match our history on where they should come from,
Exactly.
all right, does not match.
Okay, is that the thing you were talking about earlier about the 13 skulls thing?
No.
No,
Our crystal skulls is the crystal.
Okay, sorry. Because, see, I was kind of interested in that because I've
Look
never
at
heard of
YouTube
this.
it, look at Google it. I mean, there's just plenty of information about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just no. They say today they don't have the technology today to create the skulls out of the crystals that are like this.
now
They're perfect and everything.
there have some that have been pretty much proven to be frauds.
Right.
Well, like with everything, they have, right? I forget where they're from, but they got these stones from South America, right?
Mm-hmm.
That show, I believe it was the Inca. It might have been one of the earlier civilizations, but it shows them doing things like heart surgery.
Everyone's fired. None of them did their job.
This is major anatomy depicted in stone carvings.
Yep.
It shows them
Egyptians did it too.
riding dinosaurs and killing dinosaurs. Now, how are they even going
And
to
a
know
lot
that
of
they're
mainstream
dinosaurs?
scientists and
Yeah.
archaeologists will disclaim that fact that there's no way humans
What?
walked along with dinosaurs. But what? Explain that.
Right.
Explain the Flintstones to me, man.
Well, we have recently found a Triceratops horn in strata that's meant, and I'm not going to remember the exact date, but it's only like 9,000 years old.
Wow.
I mean, I can
Something
believe
along
that.
that
I mean, you got to think too.
Well,
Woolly
you know,
mammoths
link
only
to
died
that,
out
send
what
that to
a little
me.
over 10,000 or so years ago, I think.
My little niece thinks dinosaurs never exist. I said, you know.
Well, she could be right. You
She
don't
could be
know.
right. Today I don't dog her for it, but when she told me a while back, and I was like, oh, you're such a dork.
I mean, we've got fossils for years, so I
Right.
am of the belief.
But they
that-
also say that some of them ones that are at these museums are all, not all, I shouldn't say that, a lot of them are replicas, fakes.
Well, that's what they do. They take the real bones and then they mold them and make a cast and then make a new bone so that the real expensive stuff isn't out on display for the people to destroy.
Yeah, kind of like in that Dennis the Menace movie where he took the one little bone and then all of a sudden, a little bit later, the whole thing came down.
Right. But I mean, going back to it, we are continuously finding more and more hominids. All right, so maybe us Homo sapien weren't the people who had the last civilization.
Right.
Maybe another early hominid had the last civilization, and they're the Anunnaki.
Well,
Maybe.
then let's break it down to my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Adam and Eve had 3 sons.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
So, and I know you know because I posted this a few times. And I Googled it and read a ton of shit about it. And from my understanding is, where did the wives of them 3 brothers come from?
All right, and I've done a lot of biblical and religious research in my time. It talks honestly about other peoples, right? It does talk about other people.
What?
All right.
Adam and Eve was
But
the
Adam and Eve-
brothers?
Maybe it's an interpretation problem because we've had that
Once
a
you
lot.
say that,
Maybe they were the first of a dynasty.
okay, I got you.
That's where it makes sense to
Yeah,
me.
because it goes along with something I read about paradise. Really does not mean paradise. We're actually, like I said,
Right.
slaves. And, oh gosh, I wish I could remember
Okay.
it all. but-
In ancient Sumeria, they had the Eden. All right.
Right. And
The
Adam and Eve is
Eden
actually kind of like the...
Was the garden. You had Adipa, which was the primitive worker, right? Which Adipa is the evolution into Adam, but Adipa was the first crossbreed according to ancient Sumerian,
Gotcha.
and they were originally the workers in the southern hemisphere, Semi
I
gold.
got you, okay.
They were
That's
stolen.
awesome, thank you.
They were stolen by Enlil and taken to the Eden, word for word.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
Which, under their interpretation, the Eden would be more like a zoo, an animal sanctuary.
That's what it was.
Okay.
That's what I read. We were like bred as animals.
Mhm.
And Eden,
Mhm.
that's where they kept us.
I can
That's
see that.
where one
And
faction
I put
kept
stuff
us.
into a simpler, where everybody can, get the picture.
Mhm.
And I appreciate the way you put that. Thank you.
But they used the same terminology.
Right.
But
It was the Eden.
Here's the thing, too, though.
Right.
If you think about that, if you really look into it, after all that happened, with Adam and Eve and, their 3 sons and shit, who are the women that they married? And then all of a sudden, years upon years later, the flood came and it was just Noah and his family pretty much. How did they repopulate? We're all one big incestuous family.
You can go deeper than that because every culture
Right.
has a Noah.
Exactly.
Every culture.
Every culture. And to tell you, no, wait a minute, I was going to say that totally wrong. My apologies. I was thinking about someone else. Moses. That's a whole different ballgame and a whole different story.
Oh, that's
My bad.
it is a whole other thing.
Right. But that Noah also is written in the Sumerians under a different name.
You had Untapishtim, which is Babylonian name, and his Sumerian name started with a Z, Zephiraim or something. I have that one wrong. I never get that one right.
I'm not good with them names, so
Right.
I remember names, but I know the story. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It still boils down to someone had to teach them
Mhm.
all this information.
Mhm.
Science, mathematics,
Now-
unbuilt weapons, makeup.
Here's another good one for you. All right, civilization. The first major civilization, as we call it today,
Right.
Egypt. All right.
Mm,
And we're saying Egypt was around 3,500, 3,900 BC. Well, now we found Göbekli Tepe,
Yep.
which puts us around 9,500 BC.
Mm-hmm.
And they're building already giant stone monuments, fully carved.
Out
Now-
of the rock
wow.
with such
Either-
precision.
Either they've been doing it before then, or magically they got this information out of nowhere. So I mean, it's one or the other. So we've already canceled out our current conceptions of timeline.
Man, they found sites. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Ritual sites, religious type sites that were dated 30, 40, 50,000 years ago.
But I've seen some things where they find these little, they look like just stone spots area and these like remote ass places where nobody really lives anymore. But like they found these little stone things that at first they thought were just regular rock formations when they first went around them, but then they realized they're what's left of what were walls and things for buildings and stuff. So, and they date those back at least, if I'm correct, I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm wanting to say at least over 50,000 years ago.
We found gold mines in South Africa, true gold mines, that
And that's where
predate
Inky was at.
human civilization.
And that's where Inky was at.
Yes. He started out as EA, and he was taking gold out of the water, and it didn't come quick enough, so he moved onto land, and he was the lord of the underworld, which was
Right. Well, all that
Africa.
started because Emil sitting. I heard this on a documentary, but basically it was like this: Inky loved us. He taught us everything we know. His brother Emil couldn't stand us. That's where the Great Flood came to.
we were nothing but a tool to him.
We were too noisy, too loud, annoyance, couldn't stand us. This is all written out on gods of clay tablets,
Mm-hmm.
written by the Sumerians, which goes back again. Who taught them this?
You know, we have a clay tablet from Sumeria that actually gives a very basic flight path to Earth
Wow.
from outside the solar system. You know what I'm saying?
And who taught them?
And who taught them that?
Because back then they did not have the imagination of.
From what we say nowadays.
They
Maybe,
named
yeah.
our planets. They knew the distance from the sun to every planet in between. They knew the distance. NASA is going through their stuff now, and everything's so far from what I can tell.
Do you know NASA is in Egypt right now and closing down historical sites for their study. Why is a space agency studying Egyptology?
Some of that.
I will definitely. I will
I'll have to
definitely.
read that. I'll
But
watch that.
I believe the pyramids are going to be shut down for tourists for a while.
Shit's getting right happening, dude. Shit's happening now. Shit's going on.
I watched an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience a while back that had Tom DeLonge.
right?
Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Guitarist and one of the singers for the band Blink-182.
Oh, yes. Okay.
He actually owns a company that he's talked about where he's actually helping to release information to the public in a way that they'll understand it and accept it.
And doesn't cause panic.
Exactly.
That's one of my favorite lines from the movie Men in Black. All right, a person is smart, people are dumb, something. Because we as creatures are social creatures, and we say social creatures, but really it just means herd animals, pack animals, whatever.
Parasites.
We move as one together, following the
Wherever
first one
the
that
new
runs.
resources, that's
Mhm.
where we go. We're parasites.
we act more like parasites because we destroy our environment and resources
Exactly.
where most live in harmony with nature.
We
But
don't.
we are herd of, like, you get a lightning strike and you got a herd of cows and one cow takes off, the rest right behind them.
Yeah.
All right. So if we got a group of people and we try to release information that's shocking, all it takes is one of them having a panic attack and going to left field,
And everybody else.
and it creates movement.
I can see that.
So that's why they say a person is smart. Like talking to you solo, I can release some information to you, and you might go, oh, for a minute, but then it's all good.
Yeah.
I get 100
Sorry.
people. No, you're good. I get 100 people. 1,000 people, and I release some information. One of them has a panic attack, and it creates a flow, an ebb and flow of emotion that moves the herd in a direction. So there's a lot. There's a lot of good stuff behind that. You have to ease the information out, and I don't like it, but I agree with it. You know, because I want the information now myself. But
I used to
I understand.
Just prove that I'm not as nuts as I think I am.
I used to learn shit, find shit, and had to post every. I throw it down your face. They'll tell you. I post a lot. Now here lately, it's not been so bad, but when I get on it, it's and then I'm at about 15 and I'm done. But I used to. I hope I don't offend, and he knows this. This is me. I would blast out contradictions of the Bible to flat earth stuff to ancient history to today, anti-government to whatever. I just
That's me.
well, it doesn't bother me because I'm what's
I
called.
appreciate you talking to me.
I'm what I term an omniist. All right. I don't believe any religion is right, but I believe they all have the truth hidden in them.
Possibly.
It's like the game of telephone. The truth will change over the years, but
yeah, it's all
You
man-made, it's
know-
all corrupted, and it had to start from a decent from the heart.
all myth is based in fact.
Right.
All right, but it comes down to, all right, there. You've heard the expression: there's your story, there's his story, and there's truth in the middle.
Yep.
Well, if you read all those ancient texts, well, they've all got a separate story, but they all got the same things in line in certain areas.
Right. I do what you're saying.
So there is truth there. It's like the sacred geometry, the numbers that are hidden supposedly in these sacred texts that all seem to
Yeah, I
have.
heard that, but I don't know the name other than you talking about it tonight.
Mhm.
I have heard that there is numbers hidden in a lot of the uniform or hidden.
There's a thing I saw a while back about Nikola Tesla. He believed in the power of, I think it was 369.
369.
Mhm.
He did everything in threes. I think he, was a very disturbed man, but he was a very, very smart man. And most people that are really super smart are usually a little off.
Right. I'll give you
Well,
another good one to look up. There's a guy called Ed Leedskalin, and I might be saying his name wrong, but he built a castle in Florida called Coral
Yes,
Castle.
Oh, I know what you're
yes,
talking
yes,
about.
yes. And they don't
And
know how he moved this stuff.
They don't know how he moved it, but he says specifically,
Cones.
I found. No, he didn't say that. He never said it.
Well,
He said, I found the secret of how they built the pyramids. Okay? And this guy had like a fourth grade education, came over to this country, and just learned electronics, magnetics, and all this other stuff. Like it was like people with autism who got
savant.
what he like a
He was
savant.
an idiot savant.
All right, and there's a story of this truck driver who he had to move the castle at one point to its current position, and the truck driver would park the truck at night. The blocks would be loaded in the morning, and he'd drive it to the next place. He'd leave, and the next day the truck would be unloaded. Now, supposedly, this guy did it all by himself, and we're talking multi-ton blocks.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, And there was a story he forgot his lunchbox or something like that, and came back one day, and like after a half hour of being gone, and the truck was unloaded. Now, we couldn't do that with cranes nowadays. It'd take longer than that just to
That'd take
blocks.
quite a few hours.
There was with the cones. There was a story of kids who snuck in and said they seen him doing it, and he had 2 ice cream cones.
Okay.
In a
See,
black
that's
box.
what I had read.
Right. Now he carved a formula on one of the blocks. All right. So supposedly his formulas and his theories are all hidden in the castle, but honestly, we don't know. We don't know what it was.
Right, we don't know. That stuff's
So-
very interesting, though. It really is pretty cool.
So there's so many things that we don't know that we are finding out. Sound resonance, we found out that can levitate things.
Yes.
All right.
Now
Now,
there's someone I don't know his name. I've seen videos of it back in the day. Sound bent metal.
I've seen those videos too.
it's energy and frequency.
Yeah.
But
But that
there's
guy's not alive anymore, and the technology is.
there's old Buddhist monks that tell how they built their monasteries, raising the blocks on top of the cliffs by using horns, drums, and chanting.
Wow.
So they've been telling us for centuries that you can levitate things through sound,
It almost kind of reminds
and now we
me.
found it to be true. But of course, them doing it is still mythology.
Right. It almost kind of reminds me of the movie Dune.
Well, see, the thing
Dune's
is,
awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
The
Where they
books
use
are
the
so much
sound to do shit.
Books are so much better.
I bet.
So much better.
I waited on it.
Yeah, but I don't have time for a book, unfortunately.
They leave so much out of the movie. All right,
I'm
they've
sure
got
they do. I haven't watched Dune
they've
in
got
a
a
long
breed.
time, though.
in Dune. They've got this cult. I forget their name. The sisters Ben Gesserit or
The-
Ben Gesserit, however you
The
pronounce
Bene
it.
Gesserits.
Okay, they are
Benny
a
and the
sacred
Jets.
sect of sisters who are trying to breed the Hiwatch Cataract, or however you pronounce it. They're trying to breed the Messiah. All right, and they are taking humans with these special traits and putting them together, and they are getting semi-superhumans, but they're trying to breed the Messiah, and been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. Well, how do we know that's not going on nowadays?
Of course.
How many secret organizations do we have? How many bloodlines do we have that they keep track of, that we know they keep track of? We talk about the 13 families, what have you,
Yup.
and they keep putting those families together. And
Throughout-
if you believe some
Throughout history, the families, through some way, always been together throughout history.
right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. And,
Like the
and you try to
royalty
tell
and-
people,
Like royalty used to do. They basically kept it all in the family in a way.
In a sense, but they have multiple bloodlines, so it's not.
Well, that's
well,
why,
that
that's
also
why I
goes back
said
down to the
in a
Smarts,
way.
because they wrote about that too.
Yep.
About the bloodline and
Yep.
and
It's all Da
Enoch,
Vinci Code
about
up in
the
this
war
piece.
between Enil and Enoch, or Enil and Enki. That's where you also get where Enki, he's actually Satan by some writings.
Well, no. Enlil is. But Enki is the serpent. Follow me on this. Follow me on this. All right. As far as the terminology, where we go to Eden, we've already found that in ancient Sumerian. All right. Enki was mad that Enlil stole humans from him. So Enki's family is symbolized by the serpent. Several different depictions, whether it's the what's the thing called?
That's the
Medical-
one with the snake and
the medical symbol.
Oh, the Hermes staff, or it's called something else, but I can't remember. It's the
Anyway,
same thing as the Hermes staff.
You know what I'm talking about. His family line was depicted by serpents, always. All right. Enlil's family line was depicted in other ways. So Enki goes into the garden. This story's in their mythology. Enki goes into the garden and gives them the ability to know each other, to reproduce.
right.
Right.
It's all written
And the same stories right throughout.
This is
this
different,
is
but
what
I
I'm
like
talking
what you're
about.
saying. Right.
This is what I'm talking about. His story, your story, and the truth in the middle.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So Enki, depicted by the serpent, comes into the Eden, gives them the ability to reproduce because we were just a mutt, like a donkey or something like that, cannot reproduce, and that made him a little mad, and that's why he wanted us because we were reproducing way quicker than they did, according to their mythology. Now,
And they were afraid that we would.
in ancient Sumerian, the term Satan kind of derives from Satan or Shiatan. I mix
Right.
the Aramaic
I
and
think
the
Said Tom. Something.
Aramaic and the Sumerian. I mix those two up. One's Satan, one's Shiatan. Shiatan is Islamic. It means adversary. All right. Satan is the Sumerian, and it really just means overlord, overseer.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got this guy overseeing the animals who have to toil and labor in the garden.
I understand what you're saying.
So
I'm
that's
just picturing everything that you're saying with everything that,
Mhm.
and it's basically similar. Kind of.
well. I'm not going to have everything
But
right.
you know, I understand what you're. Yeah.
Right.
And that's.
So that's where you get the serpent in the Eden is Enki, EA,
Yeah.
coming in, symbolized by the serpent, into the Eden, giving us the ability to know, which is the exact same story that's in the Bible. Give us the ability to know. All right. And then you have the Satan, the overseer, who is not the serpent. He's the overseer of us in the garden.
Right.
And that's all it means. Just how we're talking about the terminology, paradisio is the Greek translation, I believe, and it means more like a zoo. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what we basically. What I totally. Okay.
So,
Yeah, because I'm telling you, it was in a document. I cannot remember the name of it, but I watched.
now
it.
here's another weird thing. We've found out recently that our genetic lines actually contain multiple hominids where they crossbred. Neanderthal?
Fact.
Neanderthal is 100% in almost every human's
Yes,
DNA.
that I know.
There's another one, starts with an R, but it's another hominid that's found in about half of the human
Send me that
population.
link. I want to read that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
That's
interesting as hell.
So now we know there's multiple hominids, and we're continuously finding more. We found what we're calling the hobbits, and
From Indonesia.
all right, they're a hominid, but they're only about this tall.
Right.
100% real.
Oh yeah, definitely. Man,
No,
did
we
you ever
have
see the
theirs.
the movie and the document on Discovery Channel many years ago about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Those
I did.
three
I did
guys,
not.
man, they got messed up.
So, I'd like to see that too.
Right. Yeah,
That
that's
sounds
awesome.
that sounds interesting.
I'll definitely share some links.
One of our last engagements, there was somebody that was killing Shiites. Like, once a week we'd find a Shiite just dead on the side of the road. Couldn't figure out who was doing it. Well, one day they popped one, and they popped a Shiite, and one of our helicopters spotted him. And we were out on the patrol at that time. And the car was coming towards us, and we had a roadblock, and we started firing, and one of us hit him, and he turned into an alleyway, and there was a Bradley sitting right there in the alleyway, just opened up on him, turned him into Swiss cheese. Blew this guy, blew the bottom jaw off of one guy, and that's when we called him Canoe Head, because he was missing his bottom jaw, and it looked like he was biting into his chest.
Right, but these were the guys who were more or less serial killers of Sunnis, or not Sunni Shiites.
Yeah,
Shiites.
they were Sunnis attacking Shiites.
Right.
And one of
What's
them,
Shiite, man? Why can't we all just get along?
It's not gonna happen.
there's three different ones out there. There's Sunni, Shiite, and Kurds, and none of them could get along.
They can't find a way, man.
For thousands of years, they've been fighting and fighting and fighting for 1,000 years.
Yep.
And they're going to continue to fight.
This is my land, and my God's better than yours.
Exactly.
Which is crazy because they all believe in the same God,
I know it.
and it's
There's
Our
just
way
subtle,
of believing
there's
in
just
God.
subtle differences, and that's what does it all. Is those subtle differences.
crazy things.
But in Christianity, it's happened in Christianity with Protestants and Catholics.
Now,
All these different divisions of.
speaking of being over in the Middle East, have you seen the videos they have lately where they're saying they're finding, they're finding the Vimana, which is, if
The
you go
Vimana?
to Vimana,
Yeah.
they're ancient aerial cities
I know
of the
what you're talking
Hindu
about.
belief, right?
The Vimana, I thought they were the race.
No,
Or was the Vimana the
was the actual airship.
yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you.
The Vimana were actual airships. There's videos claiming that they found one of those. There's videos claiming that they're finding these hominids, aliens, whatever they are, in stasis chambers from previous ages.
Oh man, I've read a little something about that, but I didn't go into great detail, so I'm
There's-
lost.
They're all
Just
over the
know.
Indian culture too, in their depictions and things.
Well, they're even finding like what's his name, Rama, or anyway,
Ramallah.
their head
Rama.
head deity, right?
Uh-huh.
There's stories of him having a city and building a land bridge and things like that. Well, now we found the city sunken underwater. We found what they call Adam's Bridge. It's mine. All right, we found Adam's Bridge, which is supposedly the bridge that was built. We're finding these things that are showing these stories to be true. Now, how much are the stories altered through the ages into
Right.
mythology?
But
Don't know.
man,
But
that's freaking. That's
the thing is, it's
very interesting. I really want to check that out.
it's showing more that these myths are based in fact. There is a history there that we're missing, and we're just writing it all off as
There's ancient writings in India. I don't know the names of the books or ancient texts of ancient sky battles.
Yeah.
And missiles and weapons that were just out of this world.
if you go to the Sinai Peninsula, if you look at it from space, it's one big scorched mark on the Earth.
Oh,
If you actually go there, it's radioactively charged.
Where?
And it's got
Sinai Peninsula, right there, which connects the Middle East and Africa and Egypt.
Okay.
That little peninsula, completely radiated, like
and it's
there.
got sand glass on it too.
Yep.
It's got sand
And
glass.
the only way it does that is from a nuclear bomb.
Right, green glass. Green glass beads. We found them in many locations, and they are a complete sign of a nuclear explosion.
I think
So-
what happened in Antarctica.
Antarctica, that's a whole nother interesting thing. Do we know what's going on there? Why
No.
is no one allowed there? Except for these governments who have done a treaty to each have their own section of Antarctica. Why?
Right. But Senator, what's his name? John
McCain.
Kerry.
No.
He's been there.
Well, I mean,
Buzz Aldrin's been there,
Oh yeah.
and Buzz Aldrin had to leave.
Exactly. He got sick or something happened. He
Uh-huh.
had to go. Yeah.
And supposedly there was a tweet he made that said, "We're all gonna die" or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
read
that's
something
true.
about that.
I don't know that that's true because I've seen the picture of the tweet and it
I don't-
doesn't
well, they
match.
don't-
I don't see Buzz Aldrin tweeting personally.
He does.
I don't know. I'm just saying I don't see it, but if he does,
Right.
he does. You know?
Right.
Right.
But I've seen the picture of it and it doesn't match the format of Twitter. Like something
'Cause
like
I've
the
seen
pictures
that
here and the
before.
writing was below when it would be the other way around or
Well,
something
see,
along that line.
here's the thing. I'm sure you've seen Alien versus Predator, right?
Right.
I kind of feel like that's a plausible theory,
Mhm.
is because if you think about it, they said that it was basically a proving ground, and if you notice in there, it showed back in the old times, it was talking about it was basically almost a paradise in a way,
Mhm.
and they were there fighting. Well, they got overwhelmed and they blew off their little bomb things like a nuclear reactor and basically caused nuclear holocaust in that area,
Nuclear
and that's
winter.
why it's nuclear winter basically.
Now, what about the pyramids that we can see there? I mean, we could say they're mountains, but when they're perfectly shaped pyramids,
Right.
But
It
that's what
brings
they
in that
showed in the
question.
Alien versus Predator in the
right?
flashback.
So, which
Sorry.
makes me think these movies that they're putting out, are they really just entertainment, or are they
I know where you're going
preparing
with
the
this.
human mindset?
Well, let's just
Well,
go
Trump
one
said we
step
need a
further.
space force.
I think
What
the
the fuck do
Matrix
we need a
was
space
a
for?
documentary.
The Matrix was a documentary.
Yeah, I think it's actually speaking the truth, and we're just.
We could be. We could be just programs.
It could very well be.
Because, I mean, I experienced deja vu,
Mm-hmm.
but it's usually not back to back like it was shown in that. It's usually I dream it, and then it, like, at some point it happens.
There is a lot of
Mhm.
people that believe that this is all Matrix.
No, I mean, it could very well be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if it is, I'm gonna find my programmer and beat
Fuck 'em
the
up.
fuck out of him.
Right. Son,
Right,
Man.
man.
But
Man.
yeah, dude,
But in
they
theory-
are doing that. I have seen a few documentaries, but you know, we can go into. I'll just break it down like this. Do you remember when Trump said they're going to start?
A space force.
Thank you.
I was
What
just
if I
saying that, too.
told you I've seen documentaries and I can link it to you unless you've already have seen them? Where they already have one and it started right after Roswell.
I can believe, dude. There is a secret space
So they're
program,
throwing
just
this-
like there's a secret government. Because that scientist I was
Dark
talking about, David Adair, he even says it in one of his things. Think about it. We change government every 4 to 8 years. Any civilization would collapse doing that. So who's actually in charge? You know, running things, because
That's
during
why I
those
said
things,
all presidents other than. All right, let me reword that. And I wasn't around, whatever. All the information and things I've seen and learned. The best president we've had was Kennedy, and everyone after him were puppets.
Because Kennedy actually wanted to release the information. He
Bingo.
wanted to go back to the gold dollar because our currency right
He wanted
now
to kill
is
all
a confidence.
CIA and the
confidence
Federal
hit.
Reserve.
That's all it is. It's a confidence scale.
yeah.
And,
I can
and
show you pictures of dollar bill that actually says, this is a certified note or silver dollar.
I know
Yeah,
what you're
I've
talking
And then you can
about.
see where it's
The ones
a
where they say
certified
that it,
note.
like a $10 bill was worth 10 pieces of gold.
$10 worth of gold.
Yeah, it was worth $10 worth of gold.
Yeah.
It was
Uh,
actually backed by something.
Right.
I think Franklin Roosevelt, back in his day, he made it where all Americans had to give up their gold.
Oh, I remember that. Not all their gold, but
That
they had
was
to
the
give
pay
up.
for the war.
That's what it says, but that also changed our money situation after that.
Thank
He
you.
put
They
the
did not
Federal
want us to
Reserve
have
in
that.
charge of our money.
Yeah.
And the Federal Reserve is not a government organization.
Nope. It is a private. It is a private organization run by the
And
Rothschilds.
there's no gold or silver in the
There's no
bank
backing for the
backing
currency
of our
whatsoever.
money like the rest of the world does
Mm-hmm.
with their currency.
That's why apparently, for
Well,
some reason, I believe we owe
actually-
billions of dollars,
But
trillions,
thanks
however
to
much to
Nixon,
China.
but thanks to Nixon, who tricked everyone, the
Sure he
only
did.
way you can buy oil is using the petrodollar, which is the American money.
Yep.
Our currency.
Basically, we've come off of gold standard to a fossil, a
See, and that's just it. You
fuel
can't
standard.
you can't trade your dollar for oil. You don't get a $10 worth of oil for a $10 bill. There is no It's just all in the trust placed in it.
Bingo.
That's why it's called a confidence deal.
Right.
All right, and they'll
And it's
admit it.
built
Federal
that
Reserve
way,
admits
and
it on
it's
their
built to
website.
crash.
Our money is completely based on the confidence of the people.
Yep.
Now,
We keep working as slaves, paying our taxes, and they take the money. That's going to cost you $1.
well, have confidence that I'll give it to you one day.
Right. Gee, thanks, buddy.
That was good.
That was good.
But yeah, I don't know where we're going now.
Yeah, no, thanks.
We're talking about the
currency.
I know what
money,
we're talking about.
Petrodollar.
It's just, I don't know what to add to the conversation right this minute.
there are like something like 3 countries in the world now that don't use a Rothschild backed bank.
And we're at war with
them. Thank you.
And the ones that didn't use it before them,
We're now
we
using
conquered.
it. Yeah, we conquered them.
And that's not
Or getting
we
ready to
helped
conquer.
them.
Yes, sorry.
And,
Like-
and here's the scheme of that. It's the same scheme Alexander the Great used when he conquered his area of the world.
Basically put someone he
We
trusted
take
in
them over.
charge.
We take them over, then put their people back in charge so they feel that it's still theirs, but we rule them.
Exactly. We can always come back and, do this again if you want to.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you pay us ours, run your country how you want, pay us ours. We'll keep a military presence there.
There
And
is a
you're our puppet
video.
ruler.
There is a
Mhm.
video of a retired general being interviewed, saying that he was told many, 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 many years ago that America and allies are going to take over 5 countries, and I believe we're getting ready to work on the 4th one. And he named Iran, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and there's one more. I can't remember.
Libya.
Bingo.
You want to hear something crazy? America, the United States of America, isn't a country anymore.
Oh, you don't say.
Why do you think?
By definition,
corporation.
we are a federal corporation. But the country,
Not even federal, bro. So many families from different corporations.
but by definition, it's a federal corporation. But as a country, we are the American Union. This has been signed in since, I think, 98 or something like that. We are already merged with Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
We're merged with them on
And that
paper.
wall, it's just a scam, and it's just to keep people divided.
Well, that's like, all right, I have theory
And
about
it's
the
working.
Revolutionary War. Okay? Did we actually win?
Which one? Those 2. They came back 1812.
I'll have to look into that one more, but I'm thinking about the first
I
one.
remember hearing about the
Alright.
War of 1812.
I know the War of 1812. I didn't know that
That
was
was
the
the
second.
second.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. I don't have enough information. But the
I
first
understand.
war, all right, we've proven that some of our founding fathers were agents of Britain. That's one part, all right? Second
Brother.
part,
Link me this, please.
I definitely will.
Please.
Second part, Benjamin Franklin had their version of a CI number in Britain.
He also had an apartment there that he shared with someone else.
Mhm.
And back in the 80s, they went to demo it, turned into a museum,
Now-
and found human skeleton bones in the walls.
Now, follow me on this. A major colonial power, the Britons, all right? We were next to nothing compared to them.
Right.
But we smashed them pretty much, supposedly.
Right.
But here's the thing. Maybe they got tired and like, man, let's do exactly what we're doing nowadays. We'll give you your freedom. You say you want it. We call, you answer.
Gotcha.
Now think of World War I, World War II.
Yeah, but it took them a while, and they had to get tricked to go in.
Did they really? Because I want to
They had to trick the people to allow us to go in.
All right. One, we already know the president knew about Pearl Harbor before it hit, and we couldn't stop it. All right. But
Same
go back.
in World War One.
Go back earlier than that in World War II. We were already sending troops
Yes,
over
we was.
there,
Yes, we was.
putting them
Yes,
in
we
their
was.
uniforms.
Yes, we
Their
was
planes.
flying their planes. Yes.
But we're
They
giving
showed
them.
that in the movie Pearl
We're
Harbor.
giving them weapons, we're giving them planes,
Ammunition,
and we're giving
everything.
them soldiers.
Yes.
We are the military hand. England is the banking hand.
I can see that, dude. I can freaking
Alright.
see that. Wow. So, and it's been a
Tell 'em about the
corporation
laws.
basically ever since.
Oh my gosh. Did you know? All right, and I can only go on the state of Indiana because this is what I've read. State law, trumped by federal law, trumped by British law. In the Indiana state constitution, the British law is held above our federal law. And I bet I can go into more states and find the same thing.
Think that to me, dude.
That's the easy one. Just look up the Indiana state constitution and read
Okay.
it.
Look at all of our national.
And I blast this shit
songs.
out, dude.
They
I
come
just,
from
oh wow, good
They
deal.
come from what?
Britain.
All of our national anthem songs?
Yeah. Amazing Grace.
All right. Here's another
Everything.
thing.
Do you know Yankee Doodle was actually making fun of gay aristocrats at a gay bar?
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
But here's another weird thing. The Queen of England, the Prime Minister rules the country. She can supersede him and say you no longer have power on at any time.
Yep.
All right? But she doesn't because it's not necessary. Well, guess what? She has the same power over Canada,
Mm-hmm.
which I've already stated has been united with us in the American Union.
Yeah.
All right? She has the same power over Australia. And she has the same power over a bunch of countries.
Wow.
Saying, hold up, stop. You're doing what I say now. You've been doing it long enough. We have this situation. Now you're answering me.
Damn.
She has that power.
Oh, I can freaking believe it.
Now, with these things she has power over, well, we've already unified with one of them in paper. We are ruled by the British Empire.
I can see that, dude. It's just like
It's all right there.
Everything that I
It's-
learned.
It's a weird
all
thing
just-
because they put this all in front of your face and say, here's the proof, don't look here.
Right.
You know, it's like everything
Right.
else. It's like, did you know the plans for 9/11 were laid out in a public NASA file in like the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
The exact plans for 9/11 are in a public NASA file.
Damn.
You know, it's crazy things, and it's all
Well, if you believe in
Sleight of hand.
symbolic symbolism,
Mhm.
there's a 1960 magazine with John Rockefeller, and on the back is the towers on fire falling and shit.
I'm getting some new recruits.